Well, I'm going to buy a lot of NVIDIA if it goes down that 8%.
If it goes down to $5 a share.
Yeah, I'm buying. I'm in. My whole life savings is going in NVIDIA
Well,
if it's down that 8%.
Welcome to the Market Moment. My name is Matt Walters, and I'm here with John Martfeld and Lee Mackey. Today, we're going to get into Apple's recent announcement, oil prices, and if we're heading into the biggest recession of our lifetime. But before that, just leave that one hanging out there until we get to it. But before that, remember you can join the Growing Market Moment online community by hitting the subscribe button. Give us a like if you enjoy the show, and comment as well. We always appreciate that. So jumping into Apple. So this was a big deal yesterday. A lot of build up to this kind of announcement, what Apple had to say. And it was a little underwhelming, my personal opinion. But let me read kind of a little bit about it. So Apple announced its long-awaited generative AI initiative called Apple Intelligence. Very Apple-like to replace artificial with Apple. During its WWDC conference in Cupertino, California on Monday, the technology, Apple's first step in generative AI, will be deeply integrated across the company's hardware, iPhone, Mac, mail, messages, and phones. It's supposed to be unique from ChatGPT or other AI systems. Siri is also getting an update. So the stock didn't do anything after the fact. I thought it was interesting that they're partnering so much and doing so much with OpenAI.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts?
I'm not an Apple junkie. I do have an iPhone and an iPad, but that's about it. I actually pulled it up this morning just to see, typically it's more of a product launch, talking about the new phones, the new iPads, the Vision somethings. Yeah. It was much less about product and hardware as it was about.
Well, but I think we'll have to circle back to see if but I think you're wrong. I think the WWDC is not typically their hardware.
Oh, it is? Okay.
They have they have another deal that is more specific hardware. This is where they bring in all of their,
new technology,
code people.
Technology. As I was watching it this morning, I just realized that I'm not very smart. I mean, there's a lot of, everything is going AI. They are, they're putting this bridge basically where all of their devices are going to be using AI, and it's amazing. I can't get my mind around everything that is coming down the pike with Apple.
I know, and artificial intelligence, obviously Apple's joining the game because it's the hottest topic on the planet, right? Artificial intelligence, that's the new topic. I always thought artificial intelligence, you could find any of that if you just went to a frat house on University of Arkansas. You could find a lot of artificial intelligence. But anyway, this is kind of interesting, and they're trying to keep up with Chat GPT and some of those things. And I asked my sons the other day, because I am way behind the times on this stuff. I've never used any of this stuff. And I said, have you guys used this stuff in college? They have. Yeah. They've used it to help with things, and I don't even want to know how much they've gotten help.
Connor's probably like, it wrote my last paper.
I know, no doubt, and it might have. But I just think that this is kind of, look at all the systems that are out there with this stuff already, and then Apple comes out with this thing. And I saw one little thing from Elon Musk that he was kind of making fun of Apple yesterday, and I don't know enough about it to.
Well, he was calling out the OpenAI relationship and saying, if Apple's going to open up their devices and their platform to OpenAI, it's a huge. I think his exact words were something like, "It's a huge security violation."
Which I agree with that, but also I think that Twitter has their own AI thing. X something. I don't understand all these acronyms, but there's something that he's got a little bit different. So anyway, I find it fascinating. But Apple, in my opinion, over the last 20 years, has been one of the best companies in innovation, and they're going to continue to be so. Even if this is, this is just them keeping up with everybody else, I guess.
Well, I wasn't that impressed. I honestly think it was a reminder that they're really good at devices and selling devices, but just like they're dependent on third-party people to come onto their app store and provide all the content and yesterday they're basically sitting there like, hey, we're going to have to partner with OpenAI because that's where we're going to need to get a lot of this stuff. So it doesn't mean they're not a good company, but
stick to what you're great at.
They just haven't figured out the technology side of it yet, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You know, I won't bet against Tim Cook. You know, I don't know what it looks like. People who've bet against Tim Cook in the past have been flat out wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they were being criticized, they being Apple, for being late to the game. And this, you know, they've been silent on this AI craze movement over the last year and a half, 2 years. And, you know, kind of everybody thought Apple was going to be left behind. But again, I don't bet against him. I agree with you in that they're great at hardware. The technology behind everything, you know, they have kind of been lacking. So we'll see.
We'll see. I agree with you, though. I don't bet against them.
I was talking about before we got on here, so this is a change of topic, but you know the Ray-Ban glasses?
Yeah.
I forget who makes them. Who makes the...
I don't know.
Well,
Ray-Ban.
like the virtual glasses that they like partnered with Ray-Ban.
Oh, yeah.
And so they look like, they're not like these big bulky things.
Right.
They look like regular glasses. Well, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they said they think they're going to be able to get to the point where you like walk in a stadium and you basically ask the questions like, hey, is there anybody here that I know? And it'll be able to like ping like social media to see like
Who's there?
who's here that you're friends with
Oh,
on
wow.
Facebook, or who's here with.
Wow.
Yeah. Which that kind of stuff
Wow.
is kind of cool. It also could be used, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, there's negatives to that.
Okay,
but-
so going
Yeah,
back,
there's a lot of negatives.
Going back to Apple, this is kind of a conversation now. The glasses, what are they called? The Vision Pros or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We were in the Apple store this weekend in Little Rock. I've never seen them. Have y'all put them on before?
I have never put them on. I'm curious, though. Did you
know,
try it?
No, but they were showing in this conference yesterday. And
Yeah, they made some upgrades to
They
the Vision
did,
Pro.
and you put them on, and it's like you're at a big screen. You know, you're watching a movie like on IMAX, basically. And I mean, but they're so expensive right now. I mean, $3,000,
$3,500.
Yeah.
I think.
And you know, I was kind of thinking, you know, I'm getting ready to go on a long flight here in a month. I'm like, nah, I'll just stick to my iPad. Right. But you know,
It's
they
pretty
will,
cool,
They
though.
will come down in price.
Yeah, I think it's
but
pretty cool.
I've heard that the people that have them
Love 'em.
Love them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't get behind that. But
Yeah.
You cannot.
no.
Yeah.
Someday
But
I
they're
think
cool.
I can. I think I can.
Get them down to a $500.
No, I mean,
price
I
point.
could sit there on my chair, just have those on and not think about anything else. I think I
mean,
could do
people.
that.
That's what
people
you
who-
do in the office most of the days anyway, isn't it?
I mean, I could see people who don't have any friends, like when they're just sitting at home.
That's
you know?
right.
Right.
So,
Oh, so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
okay.
Makes sense.
So crude oil prices rise. So oil prices posted a loss last week after OPEC agreed to increase production from October through September 2025. Ryan McKay, senior commodity strategist at TD Securities, said the energy complex continues to recover from the OPEC announcement. The agreement loosened the fundamentals, but prices should find some level of support given OPEC is likely to avoid causing any major oversupply. Goldman sees a $75 floor and a $90 ceiling due to higher than expected global inventories. Let's see. John, I think you were the one that kind of threw
Yeah,
this
I
in
like
here.
this. Well, I'm
What?
going to give you this little tidbit on oil. And I find this kind of interesting about inequity of our markets, right? When we hear everybody talking on the news that everything's fine, our GDP is fine, our unemployment rate's great, and so on. But I think that you have to look beneath the numbers to get a better understanding. And where I think the middle class and under is being affected far more negatively in this market today than the middle class, upper middle class, and higher. And I think we look at the overall numbers and everything looks fine. But let me just give you an idea of energy prices year to date. Energy prices are up 35.6%. Now, who does that affect the most? It affects the middle class and under. And I look at the energy prices of, I look at this OPEC data here, and it says we're going to come back down. I filled up my car yesterday, $80 to fill up my car. It's the most I've had to pay. I mean, I can't remember. I know I've paid that much years ago, but this is affecting the spending and the overall habits of our middle class and under, and it is starting to cause a problem. We don't think about it that big of a deal. And OPEC comes out, says that, you know, these nice things, they're going to keep it between 75 and 90. But when you go and you fill up your tank and it's $80 to fill up your gas tank, when it was $50 several years ago, when it was actually, I remember $42. I remember that because it was 2019 or I forget what day, but it's before COVID. But I remember being like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic.
What's
We're
the
under
cheapest
$2.
gas you remember?
Growing up, I remember under $1.
Oh yeah,
What's-
Like 80 cents
Yeah,
a
I was
gallon,
gonna say
maybe?
70. I remember 75 cents a gallon.
I saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm like way younger than
Yeah,
you guys.
thanks.
I always like to remind you, but I saw it for 98 cents in Georgia on a family trip one time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was really young, but that like always stuck with me. I think that's the only time I saw it for under $1.
You know,
Yeah.
back in we were in Nashville. I don't even know what years those were. Early 2000s. We had a Suburban, and that's when they started limiting, the pumps to $100 or $125. You'd have to fill it, max it out, shut it off, put your card in again, and fill it up again. I would say probably 2 years ago was the most I've paid, in my lifetime.
Yeah.
They've come back. Gas, price of oil, gas it's a regressive tax. It hits the people in the lower income brackets the hardest because it takes a much bigger percentage of their income.
Of their income. I'm going to hammer one last thing on. I know I kind of brought up the oil thing, but I want you guys to think about this as well. Unemployment remains at 4%. And so same as like the gas prices and so on, we hear that and we're thinking, oh, things are great, right? 16 to 17-year-olds have soared to 13.6 unemployment from 9.7. Unemployment among 20 to 24-year-olds is 7.9% versus 6.3% a year ago. Again, I'm looking at these things, and I look at the high prices for energy, and I look at unemployment for our younger age people, and I worry about that part of our economy being a pretty big problem. And I also think that leans over eventually towards the overall economy when money starts going out. We're not spending as much, and I kind of think those are kind of worrisome signs. I do think the OPEC information here is not alarming in the degree that we're going to $120 a barrel and it's going to be,
Right.
astronomically higher.
Yeah.
I just brought that up because I'm looking at we kind of tend to forget about it, and then we're 35% up on gas. That's
I think around here most unleaded is, I don't know, 285 to 290. I think you'll see you'll see over 3 here pretty soon.
I think if you go, I filled up yesterday, I'm telling you, and I filled up 3 days before that. This is the highest I've paid.
You filled up twice in 3 days?
Well,
how much driving?
I only have 4 gallons in my.
I
don't know.
I've
do a lot
seen
of
over
driving.
3. I forget where we're at. Oh, out towards the lake.
Yeah.
It was like 302. But yeah, here in town's like 280.
It's
285.
creeping back up. Summer driving season, they'll do that, and it's just expensive.
Yeah.
Oil prices aren't immune from overall inflation,
Right.
but I don't think we'll see 75 cents a gallon
No.
anytime soon.
Did you see California? They're talking about like taxing per mile or charging you per mile because of all the EVs, and they're losing out on the gas revenue or gas tax.
Completely unrelated, but you're talking about these charges. Surge pricing. Have you heard about this? And it's in New York.
Yeah.
Congestion pricing. A law was supposed to go into effect, I think, July 1st. New York City was implementing congestion pricing for cars coming into the city from 60th Avenue and south. So basically Midtown to the financial district. They were going to charge a fee per car coming into the city. And last week the governor said not going to do it because she's worried that it'll hurt. Because, if you're Wall Street, you don't care, you'll pay it. But what they're worried it's going to do is it's going to hurt tourists coming in. So they've done away with the congestion pricing because when it was implemented, it was seen as this new way to kind of restrict cars, encourage people to do mass transit coming into the city. But now the governor is taking it off the agenda.
These are two states with like the highest state income tax.
Yeah.
And you're like, just.
I don't know
look at
how
your ways
anybody
to-
lives there. I don't know how anybody lives in New York, how anybody lives in California, for lots of reasons.
Well, when
but
we were in California,
I get it.
we filled up. It was $5.50, $6 a gallon, and the clients that we have out there, that's a reason why you see so many Teslas.
Right.
Is because
they're about to start paying
yeah,
30 cents a mile or something.
Golly,
yeah.
that's
But you're also
crazy.
not allowed to use gas lawnmowers too. So
I know. Yeah.
Anyways, okay. So the crash of a lifetime. Economist Harry Dent, who many of you probably heard of, but has been outspoken about his opinion that we're about to witness the crash of a lifetime in 1925 to 1929. It was a natural bubble. There's no stimulus behind that, artificial stimulus per se. So this is a new spot. This has never happened. Dent said on Tuesday. What do you do if you want to cure a hangover? You drink more, and that's what we've been doing. Flooding the economy with extra money forever might actually enhance the overall economy in the long term, but we'll only see when we see the bubble burst. So he's basically predicting an 86% crash in the S&P 500 and a 92% crash in the NASDAQ by sometime mid-2025. He thinks NVIDIA could go down by as much as 98%. So...
Well, I'm going to buy a lot of NVIDIA if it goes down that 8%.
If it goes down to $5 a share.
Yeah, I'm buying. I'm in. My whole life savings is going in NVIDIA
well, this
if it's down that 8%.
Harry Dent is one of the examples of, he's made a career out of calling market crashes.
Sure.
And if you do that consistently over time, you're eventually right.
Eventually, you'll get it right.
A couple times.
Yeah.
And so you can go back and look at his track record, and there's been a couple points where he's got it right.
Yeah.
But if you go and sum up all the times he's called for it and it hasn't happened, they far out.
He is referred to as the perma bear.
Yes, but however,
this is John, our perma bear. So.
yeah,
Yeah.
This is the truth. We it's like a car wreck. You go to the hospital. You've got your leg broken in 4 spots, and they give you morphine at the scene. And you get to the hospital, and the doctor asks how you are, and you say, "I'm feeling great, doc." And the doc says, "No, well, you're not. You got your leg broken in 4 places, and you're in bad shape. But the morphine's made you feel good." We have put a lot of morphine, in lack of a better word, in this economy with all that free money that we printed through COVID. It is now finally unwound out of the M2 measure of money supply that records all this and keeps a track of it. We've now kind of gotten that out of the system. So you think about it, now that you're laying on the hospital bed, you have the broken leg and the morphine is worn off, I do think there's going to be some pain. And I do think that you can't do – the only thing that none of us can we've never been through this where they shut down the economy like that and they printed money without production, basically. We've never been through that in our lifetime, and not in our lifetime in America's history. Mm-hmm. So there's some unknown, of course, and we might get through this thing. And there's a lot of people that are optimistic that everything will just be fine and everything is great. I am not one of those people, and I'm a bull all the time. I love the stock market. I bought my first stock in 1984. I love the stock market, and I'm normally very bullish and kind of read through these things. This does not scare me like 2008. This does not make me think we're going to have this massive, this is ridiculous in my opinion. I mean, if NVIDIA goes down 98%, I'll be shocked. That would be the shock of a lifetime. So I don't buy that, but I do think there's an opportunity for a pullback.
Well,
and I do think that's fairly, could happen fairly soon.
It's one thing to say, we all know there's going to be a pullback.
Yeah, obviously the market
20, 30, 40% pullback. It could be worse, right?
Right.
But comments like this coming from people like that are just, it worked because we're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah,
that's
but
exactly what he wanted.
He's never really right, and to your point.
No, he called, if you go back and look, he said we were going to have a huge crash in 2024. Now he changed the time. And so, again, you can sit there and constantly predict these things are going to happen, and eventually something bad's going to happen, and he's going to say, see, I told you.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But
I do think there is some valid points. Not, again, he's overdoing it. I do think there's some things to be.
I love the specificity of his 86% in the S&P and 92%. It's like one thing to say, hey, I think there's going to be a material sell-off, and then another to put out.
92%.
Never in the just put this in perspective. Never in the history of our financial markets, ever, have we had an 86, 92, 94% pullback.
No,
never.
That would be catastrophic. That would be businesses going out of business all over the place. So that is not in the cards.
As I like to say, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, eventually he will be right.
Yeah.
So
don't not to this level. Yeah.
Not to, and you're right. He has a book out. We're talking about him. He's like
he wins.
Mission accomplished.
He's made
he
a
wins.
career out of doing this.
Yes, he has.
Don't let people like that scare you.
Correct.
Have a long-term plan and stick to it. So,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
as always, we appreciate you guys listening. Be sure to leave us a comment. If you're an audio-only listener, you can submit your questions and comments to the Market Moment at mach1fg.com. Link in the show notes. Leave us a comment, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.